sure. Hello and welcome to Out of the Cold and Wild Beyond the Witchlight and various one-shot players play the Quiet Year. We have already started with the first part of the Quiet Year. The Quiet Year is a community and map making game. It's very interesting and chill sometimes, and is all about the decisions that you make as a community after a big war or cataclysmic event. And it's nice. So what we've done is we've built our terrain already. We have mountains and we have a very big lake with some water that goes down from the top of the mountains, and there's lots of rainfall at the top of the mountains in the beginning of the map. There's a few islands in the lake. We've got marshland and some oases and some geysers. We've got some farmable stepped land over in the bottom right-hand corner with some forests at the top in the bottom right-hand corner. And in the top right-hand corner, we've got some active volcanoes, which we've represented through red and lava with quite a big fissure or crack in the earth that the lava does pour down. We have yet to discover how active these volcanoes are. There are several of us playing various turns, and we work through seasons of a year where things can happen. To the community, from the community, we start projects, we discover new things, we might have conflicts. You never know what the cards might deal. So as we go through, I deal a card to each player. They choose from two different options what happens. They narrate that part of the story, and then they get to change project dice. We have one project on at the moment where Diaz chose for the community to start building some weapons because there are predators around. We don't know what the predators are yet, but we know that there are predators around. So we have a project that is going to take 5 weeks to build weapons and protect against predators. And on Pete's turn at the beginning, we also discovered there are semi-sentient animals in various different places around the map, represented by these this pink kind of deer-like figure, these kind of monkey-like figures, and this frog-like figure over here. And also there are seeds found at the bottom of the kind of farmland that we could potentially use, but we discovered them.
Frog.
I just saw the frog. I think it's great.
Very great. We're now on Bean's turn. So Bean, if you have chosen from your card what you would like to happen, please let us know what you choose.
So you can either narrate it, read that card out, and then describe what it is. Me and Diaz have kind of done it in narration style, but you can choose whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't have to be storytelling.
I'm not very good at storytelling.
Just tell us what the thing is.
It's why I'm with you. You do the storytelling for me.
Just tell us what it is, and you can choose one of those. And it's not either or, it's or. So you have to choose one of those things to happen.
Yeah, I got that by the fact it says or on the
I'm
card.
just saying it's not either.
So I can just read it.
Yeah, read it. Then you've got to tell us what.
Okay, so it's a young boy starts digging in the ground and discovers something unexpected.
What does he discover?
How would I describe it? A religious burial ground.
Oh, okay.
Whereabouts on the map? Quite close to the community, near the marshlands, near the farmlands?
Can I see the map a second? So I can
Eriol, how do you minimise your dealing deck? Do you just click your dealt hand again to make it minimise?
I think
yes.
You do.
So I would have it like quite.
These are like terraced lands growing verdant farms, like in China where they go up like this. These are oases.
Is that the plural word for it?
Oases. Oases.
Oasis. So I would zoom out of it. Stop zooming in on the pig deer thing.
It might be different.
So like here.
Oh, so we've actually tracked out quite a bit.
Wait, where are we?
We're
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, so put it like here.
Here, in the middle of this bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to just draw it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead and draw.
Okay, cool. So there's like some little, we uncover some tombs a little way out on a explorative thing.
Yeah. And it's the way it's done, it kind of, it's a very like the things that are buried there aren't just the bodies, it's very like symbolic and
like more like an Egyptian style thing, like with a narrative to the afterlife kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's like is it like pictogram? Like there are symbols and stuff going on?
No, it's like each one is buried with various things, but they're not just like, you know, like some people get buried with like their precious jewelry, for example. It's not that. It's like
things to take them to the other world.
Yeah.
Like when they used to be buried with boats and their animals and their servants and things like that.
So and like what were they called? The like
the urns with all the
urns.
Yeah.
My brain today, honestly.
That's cool. Okay, cool.
That would have like weird body parts in,
or they'd be extracted and pickled.
Yeah, but it's that kind of thing. They're not just buried with like their jewelry. It's
cool.
Like not crosses, but that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like the coins on their eyes, kind of.
Oh yeah, cool. Right.
Cool. I have reduced the project dice from 5 to 4. That was Diaz's weapons project. So
you get to discover something new as well, or you get to the project as well.
Yes.
So you get to choose either discover something. You could discover something about those ruins if you thought that's what something you wanted to do, or you could start a project maybe to further uncover the ruins, maybe to further explore within to see if there's anything that we could use as a community. Or
do that. Further explore within. Sorry. I was like,
Don't tell me, it's your community, it's your turn.
So further explore within.
The burial
the burial bit,
Okay.
Because just to see if they're like buried in like cave type rooms.
Okay. Okay, so it's a little bit of distance away from the community, but I don't think it's too much distance. But I think that to start looking, it's quite a small number, so maybe like 2 weeks. But when it completes after 2 weeks, you get to decide how it completes. Bean, basically, after 2 weeks, you could say, they're not that deep, or and we find everything that is useful, and this is what we find. Or if after those 2 weeks you want to say that they actually go much deeper, you could start a new project to say, explore them even deeper. It's up to you how you want to finish that project, but I think the initial exploration is quite small, as long as Pete and Diaz agree. 2 weeks.
This is like a probing mission to see how far they go, kind of thing.
It's just to see like roughly how big the area is.
It's a lot of time just to explore, but since it's something maybe from our past, maybe something about more to our prophet who's led us here, maybe there's something that connects us to there.
Cool. So you've started a project, so it's the next person's go. Luke, are you with us? Would you like a turn?
I am here, yes.
Would you like a turn?
Sure. You'll have to quickly just explain to me what I've got to do, what I'm doing.
I can totally do that. Can you log into Roll20 and I can deal you a card?
I am logging in as we speak. Bear with me.
Okay, let me let the cat out. I'm going to deal you a card. So on Roll20, you should see a little card on your name. pop up and you can give it a read. It should have two choices, essentially. You choose one of them and you can narrate or describe what happens. And that is the first part of your go. So we'll do that bit first.
So I tell you both of them, yeah?
You don't have to. You can choose one of them and tell us what happens. It's up to you.
Okay. I'm going to tell you both of them.
Oh, you're going to tell us both of them. You can't choose to do both of them.
I'm going to tell you both of them and then pick one because I think through things verbally. So the first one I've got is, what important and basic tools does the community lack? Or, where are you storing your food? Why is this a risky place to store things? So
you only get to choose one of those. You can't work through your thinking on both of them and then choose.
I'm going to choose the storage one.
Okay.
So where are we storing our food? How advanced are we? I don't know what discussions have been had or what's happened so far, so I'm not 100% sure on what's...
From what I can tell, we are fairly basic fantasy land. We are in, I think, a fairly temperate climate.
Okay.
We have access to water, and we have access to probably stones. We have, I believe, in our abundancies and scarcities, we do have a scarcity of tools and materials. So we don't have like a great deal of like spades or picks or hammers.
I didn't pick that one then because that's already apparent.
Okay, we're gonna continue with Pete's go. We'll come back to Luke when he comes back. You're muted, Pete, if you're trying to speak.
Now I'm going to try and speak. Hey, yeah, there we go. That's normal. Nothing nutty. But Luke's was getting like 30 seconds delayed the last time he was on.
Yeah, I imagine, I don't know what's going on. We'll see what happens with Luke's setup.
I could see Luke's avatar on Roll20 talking when he was talking.
Yeah, okay, there's some, yeah, he hasn't muted Roll20 then, it seems.
Yeah, okay. Someone new comes to us, venturing down from the forests. Some of these semi-sentient apes come in a contingent, with one of them that is almost like attempting some sort of clothing that has been created out of simple like wax leaves from some sort of evergreenish plant, with like feathers and things from the ground put in their hair into their fur, plaits and knots, and they begin to try and create some sort of dialogue with us by drawing in the ground with sticks and things like that.
Okay, cool. Luke, will you try and speak out loud?
Have I fixed it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay!
Yeah, good work.
Okay. I think it was Roll20 because I changed it to disable nothing, but I didn't press reconnect to update voice settings.
Okay.
So I was still broadcasting on Roll20.
Yeah, you can see your little avatar go whoop, 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 whoop.
Okay, right. Well, mystery solved. So
okay. Sorry about that. Normal service can resume.
No worries. It happens. So Pete's just had the first part of his go. So we're going to finish your go, Luke. So on your turn, you get to choose one of three things. You get to discover something new on the map anywhere. So you can say something exists on the map that didn't previously, as long as it doesn't take effort to discover it, essentially. Like if it is hidden in some way, it would need to kind of have a project associated with it. The second thing that you can do is hold a discussion. So if you have something that you want to discuss with the rest of the community, like, I don't think that we should hurt the new sentient ape creatures that are trying to speak with us, or
Luke didn't get that bit, I don't think.
Yeah, he didn't.
There's sentient ape creatures. Okay, cool.
There is now, yeah.
Where are they residing?
In the forest on the top of the
I'll ping you. Hold on, Luke. I'll ping it. They're up here with these little monkeys up here.
Yeah.
Bottom right-hand corner of the map? Yep.
Yeah, up here.
Okay.
Or the last thing that you can do. So you can either discover something new, hold a discussion, or you can start a project. Like, for example, I think we should start fishing in the lake, or I'm concerned that we can't store food. Let's try and figure out some kind of food storage situation, because that was part of what you said.
So preferably we want it to be solution focused rather than exploratory or world building.
If you want to discover something new, it doesn't have to be something good. It could be something awful. You could say the volcanoes start exploding. I've discovered something new.
Okay, so
yeah,
what I want to discover will probably require a project.
And you want to start a project first?
Possibly,
sure.
Yeah. Do I say what I want to discover, or would starting a project to discover something, or how do I go about this?
So a project is almost a project related to exploration is in the rules is almost always successful. Like, so if you start, for example, Bean started a project to, and this should actually be a number one, shouldn't it? Because it went down on.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, it'll be at the end of Luke's turn. It goes down to 1.
Yeah. Bean started a project to explore these ruins. Unless something interferes with that in somebody else's turn, it will be successful in some way. So projects to explore are usually always successful, but projects to create or change can kind of end however you want them to end. So if you want to say, I want to start a project to discover what's at the bottom of the lake.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Then that would be a project. Unless you wanted to say something, you could wangle it by saying, we suddenly discover that a monster appears out of the lake.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that we find or we explore and find, after this project completes, a evidence of an underwater, at the bottom of this lake, underwater temple complex.
Yeah. So you can start a project to explore what's at the bottom of the lake.
That may or may not connect to the burial grounds that Bean has found ashore.
Again.
I think that's quite an ambitious project, considering distance and considering
may or may not.
Yeah, I think
it depends on the success rate of the project.
Remember, explorations are always successful, but you can always change at the end when the dice goes down to 0. If you change your mind, actually, we discovered sentient fish creatures, or something else.
Right. Well, we'll start with that. That there's this complex, massive, almost underwater.
We haven't yet. We haven't yet. When the dice goes to 0.
Yes, we haven't. We haven't yet.
Yeah.
We might. Yeah. Okay.
Something might change in the course of somebody else's turn that might change your.
That might influence my decision making.
Fucking water.
Okay.
So I think it was probably.
Everybody hates an underwater level.
I would say you think 5p. I was going to say no less.
Personally, I loved it, but
I was going to say like 4 to 5.
Should we split the difference and say 4?
Yeah. Okay.
I think it is pretty ambitious and pretty difficult considering the capabilities
all of our other concerns.
of what. Yeah.
And we've already got a project in ruins.
This is not that many projects considering I've seen tables with like more projects
everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, this is only the first turn, isn't it?
Yeah. So Pete, you want to? So that's Luke's go done. Pete, would you like to?
I'll draw on my bit that I did. So my narrative was mine was that a new person has arrived, and it's some of these sentient 8 creatures have made their way down to us and are communicating some sort of dialogue in terms of simple communication with us. There seems to be several that are more adept at it, and they are able to communicate some basic concepts. And my project from that would actually be to some of the elders to sit with them and try and adopt or learn from them some of their methods of survival, with the ever-present threat of these wild creatures that are coming in and putting our community at risk. I want to use their residential local knowledge, like TripAdvisor basically, but for sentient monkey people.
Yeah,
like, is there good places to go?
Right,
Say again, everyone missed you.
You want to send like a prominent ambassador like figure, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? Like,
I want to spend some time with them there and then kind of visit where they create this kind of like I want to try and understand their language with them and sit with them. Like that scene where David Attenborough is in the forest with the gorillas.
Yeah.
And he sits down with them and he's having those kind of moments where
diplomatic community.
Is the objective to communicate more accurately with them?
To convey simple concepts and tell them that we are scared, that there is threats. So maybe if I'm going to try and draw some of the symbols of the creatures that are putting us under threat and say, how try and communicate, like, how do we get away from this?
Okay. As a project, I would say that's quite ambitious to try and understand somebody, some monoid, like humanoid / other anoid of being. I guess I would probably say, especially if you're going back and forth from there in their community as well.
First, I think they've come to us, and before we build up that kind of trust, I don't think we'd go to them. Okay. I would be comfortable with a 3, but would anybody like to increase? I see a 3 from Luke. I can't see Diaz. Does 3 feel comfortable to you? 3 weeks? Yeah. Devine, sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Consensus. Look at this consensus building game that we're playing here. It's almost like that's the point of the game. Okay, so next turn is Diaz. Let's deal Diaz, their turn. Your card is with you, Diaz. And then we've got Bean next. Bean, I'm going to deal you your card to Pete just so that you have time to read it while Diaz is having their turn.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. So Diaz, what's up? Oh, we didn't do the dice on your turn, Pete, did we? We
no, you haven't clocked down. That's the end of my turn. So they got clocked down to 2 on Diaz, and Beanie's one is down to 1. No, yeah, 1.
2, because it was the end of Luke, so then the end of yours.
But yours is only a 2-week project.
Yeah, so 0.
0. Yours is nearly complete, Bean.
So sorry, Diaz. Before you get to have your go, are Bean gets to describe what they find in the burial.
Woo! So is this where I get distracted by the, I thought that was you moving the mouse then, and I was like, how are you doing that? This is magic.
It's already banged up here.
Yeah, it's blimmin' cold. So they find multiple bodies with various things buried with them. All of them, though, seem to have the coins over the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to have the same, either like there's something around their wrist or what would be around their chest, you know, on a chain, and it's all the same symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be that it's quite big.
The symbol?
No, the
scope.
Oh,
area.
the burial.
Yeah.
The burial. Okay. So are you saying that we've only managed to like scratch the surface of
there's
burials?
do you mind?
No, sorry, I did it.
Being very rude.
How my head Jeez, Louise.
So they found like say 6, 7, 8 roughly, that amount, but there seems to be a lot more, and it's not just like sat on just underground. It's like big
subterranean
like
chambers type thing.
Yeah, you know, like crawl spaces, and then they open up into like massive rooms. That's how it seems to be.
They used to call them a barrow.
Yeah, they're like little tunnels that lead between each body.
Yeah, the Celtic of thing was like a kind of like a mound, and then there'd be like a bit.
This is more like catacombs style.
Are they individual
it's
things
tunnels.
like this, where you kind of got several like that, or are they all interlinking kind of thing?
I've done a little drawing. Is it kind of like sort of like shoots between them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They look only big enough for like
a body.
One person to go between, you know, they're not very wide, they're quite thin. Yeah. So it's like one person.
It's almost like the catacombs below Paris.
Yeah, almost.
Or like Skyrim when you go and look.
Yeah, into the barrow, into the deep water barrow.
Okay, cool. But I think the important thing is we've explored, we know that it's bigger, there might be more to discover. Last thing is you also said we wanted to discover if there's anything useful. Did we find anything useful buried with them?
Some basic tools, i.e. like
okay.
What would they take to the underworld?
No, it's more like they were left down there for then the next person to have to dig the next one.
Okay.
So they were left in the tunnel, so then they could go like from one body into the tunnel, then dig the next space out. Is that kind of thing? What?
It's just me being stupid. My brain went weird.
Go on. What were you going to say?
I don't know why. I just suddenly thought, they found something really useful. Sun hats, just like a collection of sun hats, like on one shelf, like a beautiful array of like wide.
Oh, I bet Pete's a joy to live with. No, he's a pain in the ass.
Like lovely wide brimmed Morticia Adams hats. Like.
Beautiful sun hats, and we give them to the sentient apes, and they're 1,000 years of peace.
They're our best friends. Let's be friends.
I've removed tools, but not materials from our scarcities. So we now have like tools of some description. We can like decide as we go along what tools those are. Probably not 3D printers, probably more this end of like hammers and nails.
Not a fabricator.
It's kind of like
we could 3D print ourselves sun hats.
It's kind of like pickaxes and basic tools like that.
So rope, maybe we would find some rope and stuff like that.
You and your rope guys, always.
And like
rope.
torches along the
10-foot poles for Luke. Anyway, Diaz.
Sorry, what was that for Luke?
10-foot pole. Luke is 10-foot pole.
I thought she said stripper pole for Luke, and I was like, okay.
10-foot pole can be used for lots of things.
Sorry, Diaz. You go ahead.
Sorry.
So I found I got a really interesting card, which is either a good or bad omen. And I have no idea. Oh, wait, am I muted? No, no. And I'm not really sure what to pick, so I was gonna flip a coin and see what happens.
Yeah, go for it.
So I guess we're getting the bad omen.
That was my favorite card.
Since the discovery of the temple and either what they thought was helping the people at the temple or continuing their tradition, or finding material that could be useful for us, just turns out to be bad for some reason. And
There's a curse.
I'll say some people from the village just disappear.
Ooh, okay. So this is after we've explored the burial grounds, right? And as we are exploring the lake. So kind of as both of these things are happening, something is happening to make villagers go missing as like we are. Okay.
We're just setting ourselves up for failure.
No, this is good.
That's my goal.
Honestly,
the saboteur.
Honestly, like spring and summer are supposed to be like the easy months. Things get really bad in autumn and winter. So this is good. It's good to prepare yourself early.
You guys are fucked now. I'm just this town.
Anyway, so
oh wait,
okay.
What tools did you say were discovered in the thing?
I think we have like pickaxes. Sorry?
Right. Torches, sconce type things, I think being said.
And very specifically 1 10-foot pole just for Luke.
Very specific, 1 10-foot pole. I think like it's rope, it's probably spades and digging materials, probably like other kinds of
like picks to get through the solid stuff, spades to get through the.
Can you make
to get it out the way?
Yeah.
So I'm going to reduce the project dice while you decide what action you want to take.
So I could just have multiple projects at once?
Yeah, you can. We can have as many projects as we want all at once.
For another project, with the disappearance of people happening, I'll say that with and not just them worrying about animals and now having less people there, they'll start to get worried, and I want to say they'll try to make new tools, like more tools, so like hatchets or like axes to like chop down some trees so that they can start like building like a wall so that they can protect the village, or like those spikes that like you put in the ground so that the enemy can't get on.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll start making those tools so that they can start doing all of that.
Okay.
I'm not sure how long, because we don't really have any metal. It's mostly just like wood and stones.
Yeah, we've definitely got
now, I guess.
We don't have very many other materials, but we've definitely got like stones. But I would say if you wanted to, if your end goal was to build like walls and like sort of sticky out stick things. And we are not that sure whether we have everything, like resources easy to hand, just add more weeks to like the project. So if we think that we have very few of those things, I think we've got a few of those things. So I would say like a 5. Do that. We could always put it up to 6.
But no, a 5 works. Yeah, 6. I'll do 6.
Yeah, I think maybe because we've got to, if this is kind of mostly meadowland, and we've got to go up to the forestry area, we're going to have to walk back and forth with into the ape territory kind of thing at the top there. It's going to be quite hard to move the material down to this area without, so yeah.
Well, I imagine that there would be loose rock at the bottom of mountains, and we're like...
I was talking about sticks for the wood kind of stuff. Yeah, for the forestry side of stuff, rather than the stones. We've got the bedrock, we've got the foundation, but the actual masonry part of stuff, we might need to harvest from further up in that verdant area up the side there. Yeah.
Okay. 6 then. We've got a 6. Cool. It is Bean's turn. We're gonna go till about 11 p.m. only because I have a trip that I'm taking tomorrow, if that's cool, and then we can continue at some other time.
Sounds good. Right, what am I doing, Pete? How do I
need to get your card over. You need to go in this one.
How do I
there you go.
So there's a giant man-made structure on the map.
Ooh. What is it?
So I would like it to be...
We need to do it on the other one.
Oh.
We need to be in the other one. It's so baby.
It's sorry. Very. No. So I want it on that one.
Okay. So this is on one of the nearby, on one of the other oases.
Yeah. Like in the middle of the water.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. I'm going to have to zoom right in. Yeah. All right. Yes.
And I want it to look like, well, I'm not saying you've got to draw it like this. I know your art skills on here are quite limited.
Look at that frog.
Exactly. Look at that frog.
That frog's amazing.
No, it isn't.
Don't shit on my frog.
If you didn't tell me it was a frog, I wouldn't know it was a frog.
What would you?
You don't want to know what I'd think that was.
It looks like a flump.
Yeah, it does look like a flump, actually.
It looks like a giant pair of lips with 2 nostrils sat on top.
Yeah, or a burger with like pickles.
2 sesame seeds. So
yeah, come on, tell me what this temple looks.
Right, so you know, like the old Chinese style worship temples,
where they're kind of stacked.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah, like where they're like several different like
layers.
Yeah,
like that.
And then they'll like go out.
Mulan.
You are?
Like in Mulan.
Yes, like in Mulan.
And then they kind of go up with a kind of curvy roof like this.
Yes.
So
one of them, but it's a bit, it's not all there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So there's like a crack in the roof like this.
Yeah.
And
it says, why has it been abandoned itself?
Yeah, why has it been abandoned?
It is
wham.
Wham. It is like falling apart all at the bottom as well.
Okay.
So it looks like it's just really, really old, and it is just simply just falling apart.
Yeah.
And that is why. Well, you assume that's why it's been abandoned.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah.
God, I've had too much Prosecco. Cool.
Did you just say you've had too much Prosecco?
Yeah, I get the burps.
It's Christmas.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to reduce the project dice while you think about what action you want to take.
So what the actions I can take again?
You can start a project, discover something new.
Okay, start a project or discover something new.
Or start a debate with one of the other people, so you can say, I don't think that, I think that you should. Wow.
I would like Can I start a project on trying to get that building back together?
But the way, yeah, well, of course you can do what you want.
What? Go on. What were you going to say?
Well,
No.
No, I'm not allowed to say that.
That's not fair.
That's the facilitator.
If you want that project to be done, then you get to decide what do you want to do? Do you want it to be explored? Do you want it to be repaired, explored and repaired?
Explored, I think.
Okay.
Or explored and repaired. Explored first, and then we'll see if we want to repair it later.
Okay.
Because
I think that's a one. It's close. We're quite used to exploring things now as well. We've done a couple of exploration sort of things. So I'm going to say it's a really easy one. What do you think, folks? Yeah, I see some thoughts. Anybody hugely disagree?
What are you saying for this?
I mean, if we've got the tools for it now, though, haven't we? So
we've got more proficiency with stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One.
Takes one. Wow, that looks really weird on the map now.
So on your turn, so as your turn finishes, a project finishes, and it was Diaz's weapon building project and like fighting against predators. How does that finish, Diaz? What have we created in those? I think it was 4 or 5 weeks, wasn't it?
4 weeks.
Yeah, I'll say that as that they will have been able to make spears so that they don't really have to get that close when finding the predators. And they're able to like chuck it at them from a distance. And maybe make like some hide armor for the people out there, because like after being able to kill one or two, the predators are like, oh, okay, like they're fighting back. We should be careful on how we're gonna pick them off and stuff. And maybe have like a small pit trap, or like just like a hole in the ground, so that if a predator does get too close and they just happen to find that location, we could just like stab it to death.
Sounds good. I want to see you draw some spears. I want to see you draw this pit, and I want to see you draw this hide armor on one of these stick figures.
All right.
I love that put armor on a stick figure. It's like
definitely the dabbing one, like dabbing
for
in
sure.
armor.
For sure.
That guy.
Thank you very much. Luke, I have dealt you your card. It is your go, I believe.
Right. Oh, come on, bit of lag. Right.
why is it got zombie eyes going
on? May I also remind you of our abundancies and scarcities. We have clean drinking water, faith, knowledge of farming and education in our abundancies, and in our scarcities we still have consistent food sources, materials and fertility.
So we've got, my card says what's the most beautiful thing in the area, or what's the most hideous thing in the area. I'm going with the most beautiful thing in the area, and it's the fact that we've got this gorgeous landscape of, on the left hand side of the mountains, we've got cascading waterfalls and streams pouring down from the mountains into the water side, and on the right hand side we've got these fiery volcanoes with magma pouring down, and it's almost like the two opposites just cascading down on either side, just creating this beautiful landscape. So yeah, the horizon view from our settlement is absolutely stunning, and that's the most beautiful thing about this place.
The duality of the environment.
Yeah.
Love it.
We've got fire and water. So that's my card. It's a very basic one, but yeah.
Okay, so you want to choose your action, and then we're going to reduce the project die.
So, it reduces at the end of my turn.
It reduces, actually reduces in the middle. So if we want to reduce your lake one, we can do that then. We can do the reducing first.
Would that count as my action or?
Nope.
No. Okay. So we'll do that first because my action might be based on what we discover.
So there's a few different things that are finishing on your turn then. So let's do them in... Let's start with beans. What is discovered within this like pagoda-ish-esque ruin? What happens with that project?
1 second. Eden?
Yeah.
Go back to the other screen then.
I'm zooming this map out so you can see it, because if we need to edit anything, we can draw it in now.
So it's this one here, yeah?
Yeah, your pagoda.
Yeah. So in that, like, it just seemed to be like a big, like one single room, but it was like to the roof. So the sun was coming in the hole in the roof. But in there they found like marks on the floor, kind of like where loads of candles would have been. But then there was like drapes hanging down all around the room, but all of these like rich royal colours, so like reds, pinks, purples, oranges, golds, all around the room, with a throne type chair, like as you came in where the door would be. So it was like a throne type chair there, carved out of stone, but painted like gold and red and pink. But it was like chipped and bits were missing and things like that. So
interesting. Love it. I would like to see the addition of the many colours near the pagoda and possibly this throne.
Go on then, Pete. That's your...
Okay.
Maybe even a candle if you're feeling spicy with your drawing skills, a little candle maybe. Whoa. I like the addition of the word pit on the pit. Yes, very good.
I didn't even see that. That's great.
So Luke, we're going to go to you with the lake, and then we're going to go to Pete with the speech completion, because Pete is drawing at the moment. So what happens? What do they find in the lake, Luke?
Right. So the lake, because of our capability of, I don't think we have boats yet or anything like that, do we?
We've stuck lakes.
But if we've got these tools now, maybe we've been able to achieve making some kind of crude boats.
Your project was about exploring the bottom of the lake. There was definitely nothing said about creating boats.
Okay.
But maybe flotation devices?
It wasn't possible when we started, but now it is. So I don't know if things would change along the way. I don't know. I don't know the rules.
I think maybe...
We didn't have the tools to make the boats when we started, but now we do. So I don't know.
I would say here's a compromise. So
but
Luke,
then again,
I would say,
resources wise, to make the boats might be different compared to the tools. So
I'm going to give you two choices, Luke. Either you get to explore deeper in the lake, but no, like deeper depth wise in the lake, but no boats, because you spent more time swimming and building your lung capacity, or you've spent some time building a boat so that you can get to the other side of the lake and discover what's on the other side of the lake, and now you have a boat. So which do you want more?
Well, it would be depth. It would have to be depth.
So no boats, but you have also a number of people who hold their breath very well.
Okay, so we've got divers, which could be good. Like fishing, spearfish.
I'm going to add that to our abundances. We've got divers,
which can now spearfish and get debris from the bottom of the lakes, and also like in regards to exploring the lake, like along the edges of it as well, within the debris, and we start finding old bits of stonework, which is definitely man-made. So while we might not be able to fully discover that there's a temple complex at the bottom of this lake yet, there is indications that there is man-made stone debris washing up on the, or being pushed up on the side of the of this lake, and on some of these ruins that we're finding, bits of ruins and stonework, we are finding finding inscriptions on the stonework, diagrams, pictures, pictures that seem to depict things like the landscape of the mountains, but in the bowl of these mountains, the landscape looks very different compared to what it is now, where we see tall buildings like the ones that we've already discovered on the map, and other things where the lake currently is. So indications that there was once a civilization here.
Interesting.
I should try and draw the laptop.
Love this chair.
So now I have an action, yes?
Yes, but Pete gets to complete his, so think about what action you want to do. Pete gets to complete his project about talking to these apes. What happens?
Super.
Okay, so the way the communication went was that we managed to create some sort of dialogue in terms of that we were afraid and that we were scared. This was communicated reasonably successfully when we're drawing the pictograms of some of the creatures that had been harassing the camp. And some of us climbed the terraces and found that there is a more easily defendable, secure area that these creatures live within, behind sort of thicker bush and terrain. Here is far more exposed, and there seems to be a slightly better, a more naturally defendable place. We were on higher ground, up where Eriol's pinging. Up that, so that's basically what we discover, and we were introduced to some of the older ones were with us when they came, and it seems to be kind of like a diverse species that doesn't really segregate from the ones that have the higher knowledge to the ones that have this degree of sentience. They're all accepted within the society, and the ones that are maybe less able to use tools and things like that, they take care of the young and that kind of stuff, whereas the others work on building the primitive shelters and almost are like teachers as well. So they're trying to grow their community. They're trying to become more than what they are. They can see something on the horizon that they might be able to do, and they're trying to share that knowledge with their less evolved chums. But there's not a degree of segregation like these are out of their society.
Okay, interesting. So they're very well organized, it seems, and they have structures in place. And okay, cool.
It's that familial group.
Yeah,
that family group like you see within those structures, where there is like a dominant, like a female normally,
matriarchal somewhat.
Like a matriarchal lead with where the males fight for the mating kind of thing. But within the society that comes down from that, it's very well shared.
Okay, cool.
That is the most disgusting looking creature I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know. I've written it down like how they're organized, and I can make like a little Roll20 thing about their organization when I translate this from written notes to digital notes. But I want Luke to so I think it's quite hard to pictorially represent a hierarchical family structure, but up to you.
Can
if
you
you
just
want to
draw
try
a monkey with a crown on? Monkey crown.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Monkey
Draw
crown.
a monkey crown.
But what, Luke, what action do you want to take?
So my action, because Pete mentioned that at the moment everything seems like makeshift shelter, kind of primitive structures at the moment. With the discovery of this stonework and masonry, and with the tools that we've got, I'd like some people to learn and educate themselves on how they can not only carve certain structures, stonework and masonry, but they can learn and repurpose some of this stone and debris to start making more not completely complex stone structures, but basic stone structures that we might be able to construct to store food, to make sure that it's more protected from the predators.
Okay, I think that is probably between a 4 and a 5. I don't think it's as ambitious as a 6 anymore. I could be convinced for a 3. I think the reasoning being that we have access to some tools now, and we now have access to some more materials, and because we've built this good-ish relationship with these people in the forest, we also have access to potentially more free access to wood. I would say there aren't that many, except for complex materials like metals.
My mind is that they've got debris and stonework that's found, that they can see the size of things, the bricks, how they're shaped, all that kind of thing. And then there's that building that we've already seen, and by trying to mimic the construction of that, they can learn easier by going, okay, we've got the pieces, we can see how it's built, let's try and do that ourselves.
Right, I could be convinced for a 3. Pete, Bean, Diaz, let me see some fingers of numbers. What? 3, thumbs up, 3. Okay, cool. Where do you want these to be built, Luke? Is it back in our community, or is it?
Yeah, see, that would count against 3, because then I would say that the stonework then either needs to be transported from the lakeside to where we're planning on being and building, or it would be a case of, do we start a quarry? But I feel like that's a project on its own.
Are we allowed to suggest, Jeff?
No, not really.
Otherwise, I feel like we'd have to start a quarry closer in the mountainside to where we already are based, and I think that's a different project.
It's up to you, Luke. If you want to build buildings, if you want to build these buildings like the ones that you've seen in the lake, you can add an extra week, I would say, and have it transported by foot, because we don't have transport at the moment. Might even be a little longer.
It's only spring. What's an extra week? Yeah, right. Let's do that.
Or the other option is, if you kind of want to build them where they are, that would take less time because there's no transport. But yeah, however you want to build them.
I don't want to spread us out too thin, especially if we're planning on moving, if we're thinking about moving further upland to higher ground. But then again, if we do start fishing, we're going to need storehouses here.
It's up to you, Luke.
Okay, for starters, this project will be, they start building some buildings along the lakeside where they are, because it's the first iteration of these buildings. It's the first time that they've done it. So they might not be perfect, they might not be great, but they're building them where they are. Yeah.
Also, I can remind you that you had a discussion amongst yourself there. You could also hold a discussion with your fellow teammates about what to actually do and what to invest in. And that would be your action.
I didn't think they could have? I thought they couldn't have input or suggest things.
They can't have input if you want the project to start, but you could use your action to hold the discussion, and you could do it next action. So it's up to you whether
start it next turn.
Yeah, it's up to you whether you want to start it now and just do it, or whether you want to talk to your teammates.
I'll talk to my teammates. It's 1 week. So what do you guys think? Do you think we should have immediate buildings by the lakeside for the storing of, I don't know, things like fish, which are more secure in that point there, and it's the first iteration of buildings where it might not be a perfect method yet? Or do we want to spend extra time dragging the resources back to where we are? Or do we want to just forget those resources that are there and start getting our own resources by maybe starting a quarry?
Can I suggest a halfway measure? There's ruins in the lake. There's ruins also at the oasis. Can we repurpose the ruins at the oasis using that technology?
But start renovating.
Yeah, literally.
You don't get to respond to Pete. Pete says a statement and then you take it on board and then make the decision.
I don't. This is so strict. The rules are so strict.
Sorry.
It's closer. We're not having to move as far. It may give us, it's in the middle of the oasis also, so it's easily defendable from these wild creatures that are attacking us. We may lose contact with our friends up in the forest.
How big is this? Oh, I can't ask you anything.
You can't. No, you take on board Pete's feedback, and then you still get.
But this is something that was already established earlier, wasn't it? So how big is this building that we were talking about earlier?
The pagoda type thing. I think it's big enough for people. It's got.
Yeah, definitely.
Like how many feet tall? Like how big? How many stories?
Village hall.
Well, how big is the oasis?
Well, we haven't really talked about scale to a degree, have we?
You can describe how big you think it is, Bean.
Okay, so
and then that will define the size of the oasis, I think.
Yeah.
How big is this room? Like from there to there.
That's probably about 10 foot.
10 foot.
No more than that.
Okay, so from the door to where the throne is, it's about 45 feet, 50 feet.
And we're talking that in a circle shape?
A square.
A square, okay.
But with the drapes, it's made to look circular.
Okay, so 45 by 45.
So it's
roughly.
So it's between 40 and 50 foot square area, height-wise going up.
Oh.
2 stories, 3 stories? How impressive is this structure?
2, 3.
And then
4, 5.
It's big.
It's big. It's
very
tall.
tall.
It's tall. It's a tall boy.
I want to be tall.
Okay, so
let's.
So you know that you've still got Diaz and Bean. So your original question was,
what should we do with this debris? Where should we build?
Yeah.
So you get to respond to Luke's suggestion now.
Where do you think we should build?
I think that using the buildings that are already there is a good idea, but I think it might be worth stripping the ruin first before it's used, because there is material in there. There is the throne in there, which might be useful for something. It was a brief exploration, not a in-depth exploration of the building.
So this is why holder discussions need to be very concise, because the question that Luke asked originally was not actually about the pagoda. It was about taking some of the debris from inside of the lake and building a storehouse next to the lake, taking the debris like the building blocks and building closer to our community. And there was a third option that Pete introduced around rebuilding the pagoda with it, or using some of the materials from the pagoda. So you get to respond to Luke's original question. So where do you think we could use the building blocks from inside the lake, if at all?
I think store them for now. Where to use them?
Yeah, so Luke proposed building a storage for fish using the stonework from the underwater buildings, or taking them back to the community and using the stonework from the lake to kind of build better structures in our community area. So like building stone structures based off of the ones
take them back to the community and use them there to build more structures and things like that. If you're on about building things for fish, there are already buildings. That was disgusting. There are already buildings available for you to use to do that. So I think.
Okay. I'm not going to retort.
I think take them back to the community to be used there, or possibly use. Yeah. Okay.
Which one?
Okay. Diaz, what do you think? Where should we build first?
So the question was getting stones from the lake and what to do with them, right?
Yes. So where should we build first? Should we build first at the lakeside to store fish? Should we take stones back to our community to build better structures at the community, which would take longer because of bringing the debris further distance? Or should we take the debris and the stonework to the pagoda and use it there for renovation, expansion purposes?
Okay. I was planning on slowly making my way to the north. So like slowly making like small camps or outposts near the lake, so we can have a safer route from getting food and fish, basic fish from the lake to our village, and having like I like to say that just having a storage area near the lake, or like just having like what you call it? Where are those places where it's like kind of similar to an outpost, but it's like where they have like nets and stuff so that they could just keep the fish trapped in one area or something like that.
Okay.
Like a fish farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can you said a storage area, right, for the fish? So that'll be like an ice box or something, so that
just a secure structure where the fish can be held where they'll be safer from getting out from predators than like a thatch building, which can be broken into.
I recommend just building a structure near the lake or at the lake.
Okay. Right. Thank you for your input, team.
So after your community discussion,
the council meeting.
What was the council that did the council meeting? I've forgotten which one it was.
Jackie Wilson, you have no authority here.
As per many community meetings, everyone had opinions, and none of them are wrong, but they rarely come together. So you've gathered information at the very least. You can make an informed decision.
I mean, it's brand new ideas forward that I didn't think of.
True, yeah. So you have some new ideas. I am going to call it a night. Just 10 past 11 on Christmas Eve.
definitely do this again.
We have more spring. We have the rest of spring to get through, the entirety of summer, autumn, and winter.
How long do they last?
52 weeks.
It's 52 turns essentially. So, you know, spread between 4 people, however many turns that
takes a while just to get through spring. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It does, yeah. Well,
it's a long old game. You can really, wow.
Sometimes it tends to go a little bit faster, like as you get used to it and as you are doing things. So, you know, spring is always the slowest one because people are getting used to the turn order and stuff like that. And trying to decide what you want to collectively work on together or not, etc., etc. Anyway, we can revisit this at another point. Roll20 saves this
fun.
Beautiful
I love
map.
our little map. I love our little map.
It's great when you even when you just put a piece of paper in front of like a group of people and start, you know, having prompts to build it. You can, like, even just with that, however many 3 turns I think we had each.